The story kicks off with Jack Reacher, a quiet but powerful ex-military investigator. Browsing a thrift store, he trades in his old clothes and picks up a new outfit. The price tag says $22, but Reacher notices a sign for 50% off, a detail the clerk missed. Cool as ever, he drops $30 on the counter. As he leaves, things escalate. A nearby woman is being threatened in a parking lot, her child in the back seat. Reacher steps in without hesitation. The man backs off, realizing quickly, this isn't someone you mess with. That's Reacher, always ready, but never flashy. He then borrows the shopkeeper's phone to return a call. A coded message from an old friend, Neely, warns him that one of their teammates, Calvin Franz, has been killed. The code they used is from their time in the 110th Military Police Special Investigations Unit, a team Reacher once led. She asks him to come to New York. Something's not right. We flash back to the past. In Virginia, Reacher recalls how Franz joined his team, calm, sharp, and dependable. The 110th wasn't made up of regular cops. They were built for tougher jobs, chosen for their instincts, not just their resumes. Back in the present, Reacher meets Neely at a coffee shop in Williamsburg. She's already ordered his meal, showing the bond they still share. Now a private investigator, she brings him the files on Franz's murder. He went missing a week ago. His wife, Angela, says he'd taken a case but never came home. Reacher notices from the autopsy photos, Franz wasn't just killed, he was tortured and thrown out of a helicopter. They agree not to involve the police. Reacher starts reaching out to other former teammates, but no one is answering. That silence feels heavy, dangerous. They decide to visit Franz's widow. At her home, Franz's son Mikey quietly watches TV while Angela tells them Franz had been taking safer jobs lately and didn't bring work home. She hands over the keys to his office, hoping they might find something useful. Reacher reassures Mikey, hinting at the type of man his father was, calm in chaos, trusted by Reacher himself. At Franz's office, they find a team photo of the 110th. Neely notices something on his keychain, a mailbox key. Across the street is a post office. It's closed now, but they make a plan to return the next day. That night, they unwind at the hotel. Neely insists on covering Reacher's expenses, but he promises to pay her back. Their friendship is built on respect, not favors. The next day, they head to the post office. While Neely distracts the clerk, Reacher quietly opens the mailbox. An old lady catches on, but he manages to retrieve the mail before anyone can stop him. Inside is a flash drive, but they can't open it. Neely's laptop lacks the right port. Reacher decides they need two things, a gun and a stop at a church. At the church, Reacher pretends he's looking for his drug-addicted cousin. The priest warns him the location he's asking about is dangerous. Reacher replies coldly, I've got righteousness on my side. It's clear he's not afraid, but he's also not reckless. Meanwhile, we see a mysterious man land at an airport. He's dressed well, polite, says he's sightseeing, but soon, he burns his passport in a bathroom. He's not who he claims to be. When Reacher and Neely return to the hotel, they find their room trashed. Then David O'Donnell, another former teammate, shows up. He insists he had nothing to do with the break-in and is furious about Franz's murder. He's ready for payback. O'Donnell guesses that Franz's flash drive password might be Reacher, and surprisingly, it works. Smart move. Reacher quickly books a flight to Denver under the name Andrew McBride, one of the many aliases on that drive, all starting with the initials AM. A clever way to keep his identity consistent without changing his signature. The situation is heating up fast. These people aren't afraid to get violent, and Reacher knows they need more backup. Meanwhile, there's bad news. Swan, a trusted ally, is dead. The rest of the team is unreachable. It feels like someone is determined to wipe out the special investigators, one by one. Reacher and the team decide to reach out to their old comrades, Sanchez and Orozco, who are hiding out in Atlantic City. On the way, they run into Carla Dixon, another veteran from their unit, the 110th. She's returned from an undercover mission and is ready to help. Using a fake ID, she rents a car since their real identities could be tracked. Dixon digs through Fran's files and suspects that someone holds a serious grudge against their old team. Meanwhile, Langston orders Serpian to eliminate Reacher and the others as soon as they arrive in Atlantic City. No delays. Serpian needs local help for the job, and Langston insists it be done by tomorrow. When the team checks the offices of Orozco and Sanchez, they find the place ransacked. Whoever broke in found what they were looking for. Reacher suspects this case is bigger than a personal vendetta. He's right. Sanchez and Orozco were working on something involving a massive gambling scam, worth $65 million. That explains the high stakes and why the casino security might be involved. At the casino, Dixon gets caught counting cards, but instead of trouble, security offers her free concert tickets to leave. Reacher and Dixon spot two men following them later that night. When trapped, Reacher suggests dealing with the threat without guns to avoid more police attention. The tension rises when a Mercedes, using one of the AM aliases, meets with another man in a snowy forest. They discuss an upcoming attack on a truck carrying $650, likely the gambling money. The driver's safety is a priority. No unnecessary bloodshed. Back in Atlantic City, new bodies are found, and the police reports confirm the situation is worsening. Reacher's team knows this case has expanded far beyond anything they expected, involving corrupt cops, weapons brokers, and possibly terrorism. Despite the chaos, Dixon and Neely start decoding pages filled with numbers from Fran's files, realizing each page represents data from different months of a long, complicated investigation. They notice something strange in the data. An event happens about 9 to 13 times daily. The first month shows strong numbers, but by the 7th month, those numbers have dropped dramatically. Dixon wonders what kind of activity they're tracking that would fluctuate so much. Nee doesn't fully follow the logic but trusts Dixon's instincts. The big mystery now is, what were they counting, and why the sudden drop? Meanwhile, AM books a flight from Denver to JFK, and the team plans to catch him at check-in. But AM gets suspicious at the airport. He knocks over someone's suitcase, expecting to find a tail, only to see it's empty. He realizes someone's after him. He calls Langston to report a delay but assures him the deal will still happen. They talk about the risk of getting into New York without an ID. AM says he'll manage. Reacher contacts Serpian's neighbor, claiming he found a wallet, and confirms Serpian still lives there. They plan to check the house but decide to stop at a hardware store first. When they arrive, someone upstairs questions who sent them. The tension is palpable. Back at their motel, Russo storms in, furious that Reacher used a pipe bomb in a quiet neighborhood. Reacher explains they were set up. Either someone used a fake address to lure them into a trap, or Serpian was working for New Age as a hired eliminator. Either way, it was a setup. Russo warns them they can't act independently anymore. AM never showed up at the airport, but the plan is still underway. The police are preparing to raid New Age Technologies. He tells them to stay out until he contacts them. Reacher gives Russo a number to reach out but is warned to stop acting wild. Later, they split up to search the New Age building. Swan's torch is found. The man they thought was dead. It turns out he worked there, likely caught in the same mess but not corrupt. The team discovers Daniel Boyd, legislative director for Senator Malcolm Lavoie, will attend a symphony in Boston, a chance to approach him about the Little Wing project. Suspicion grows as they find Swan listed as assistant security director under Langston, and Brian Collins, another New Age security officer, as an attacker. Reacher insists on investigating everyone at New Age one by one. Russo is under pressure for failing to stop the break-in. The department is overwhelmed, and evidence has vanished. The message is clear: don't step out of line. At a diner, while Road to Nowhere plays, Reacher sarcastically comments on how fitting the song is for their stalled investigation. They dig into Swan's old emails and discover something odd. He emailed Marlo Burns about a Jimi Hendrix album, even though he hated that kind of music. It's likely a code. The 6th track is called Little Wing, the same name as a secret federal defense project New Age is working on. The team learns there was a test of the Little Wing tech for military officials, including Senator Lavoie, who believes in the project and will do anything to support it. They realize they need to get close to Lavoie, but admit it won't be easy. When Reacher suggests blackmail, the response is clear: I incentivize. With 10 minutes, they promise to find the legislative director's name and his weakness. A flashback reveals the 110th unit during a major drug bust where they seized nearly pure heroin. They joked and celebrated, until they realized one brick was missing. They first suspect the missing drug brick was stolen, but then Swan finds it hidden in his car. It must have slipped during the ride. Still, some team members wonder if Swan once considered stealing and backed out. Nee questions whether Swan might have finally taken a bigger chance with the Little Wing project. Reacher defends him, but doubts linger as the group waits for O'Donnell's findings, hoping they'll get closer to the truth. O'Donnell digs into Daniel Boyd, Senator Lavoie's legislative director, a spoiled, entitled man who got ahead through family ties. Despite Boyd's messy past, the team plans to use some shady but legal tactics to get close to him at a Boston event. Russo calls Reacher, furious about their reckless raid on New Age Technologies. Reacher brushes it off and tells Russo to focus on digging into New Age's security team instead. Meanwhile, Dixon and Nee visit Marlo Burns' house, finding signs she fled suddenly, clothes left out, cabinets open, but a suspicious pile of cash remains. The team gears up for their plan to trap Boyd. Dixon jokes about how weird they all look in fancy clothes, and the group laughs as they prepare. Dixon gets Boyd's attention by pretending to be confused about her seat, charming him enough that he offers to switch places. At a diner nearby, Reacher and O'Donnell review flash drive data. O'Donnell jokes until he realizes the documents show a tally: how many times an event succeeded or failed, with failures totaling $650. Remembering Fran's mention of 650 units at $100,000 each, They suspect the numbers refer to weapons. They share a light moment, joking about parenthood and Reacher's love of dogs. Just then, Dixon and Boyd leave, only to be stopped by a special agent. Boyd, clearly scared, admits Little Wing is a secret defense project, software designed to protect planes, now twisted by new age into smarter missiles that bypass defenses and strike targets directly. Boyd doesn't know technical details but says the project is top secret, secured in 2 new age facilities. Senator Lavoie helped sneak it through Congress by hiding it in a massive bill, avoiding scrutiny. Reacher and O'Donnell head to D.C. to investigate AM and Homeland ties, while Dixon and Nee rush to Denver to stop missile production. There, they find the shipment already gone, missing the 650 missiles by mere minutes. Back in D.C., they track a mysterious man named Zairi Mahmood, a weapons broker never caught on camera. He connects bad actors with deadly tools. This deal was supposed to involve bearer bonds, high-value securities like carrying $1 million bill, the kind of cautious buyer like AM would use. Reacher knows they can't let Mahmood slip away, or else this entire hijacking will spiral out of control. The team uncovers that Tony Swan authorized the missile shipment using a digital fingerprint, something nearly impossible to fake. Reacher's doubts about Swan grow, but then it's revealed Swan might actually be undercover, wearing a wire to expose new age from within. Reacher warns everyone that things are about to get explosive, and he's ready to go all in if necessary. Meanwhile, Senator Lavoie's men approach Reacher, but he refuses to cooperate until they show some respect. The buyer of the missiles complains about delays, but the villains assure him the deal will go through as planned. The meeting point is set at French Lick, Indiana, and the bad guys are confident their scheme will succeed, and that Reacher's team will be taken out in the process. Reacher is brought to a secret meeting at a zoo, chosen by Senator Lavoie for privacy. Lavoie acknowledges Reacher's past military record and his involvement in the Margrave case. He admits he needs Reacher's help to stop the dangerous Little Wing technology from falling into the wrong hands, explaining that terrorists are targeting it. Lavoie confesses to bending the rules to fast-track the project, claiming it was for national defense rather than profit. He offers full support to Reacher, promising no one will ever trace the operation back to him. For Lavoie, this is a win-win. They get to protect democracy and keep the weapon out of dangerous hands, while Reacher gets the backing he needs to leave no one alive who might endanger innocent lives. Soon after, the team learns Fran's body has been released and the funeral is scheduled, prompting them to return to New York. They discover that the Denver truck carrying missiles had its cargo swapped with crates of bricks to match the original weight, a clever decoy intended for an army base in South Korea. If it had arrived, no one would have noticed the real missiles were stolen until it was too late. It's suspected that the real weapons were flown out overnight on a private plane. The abandoned truck is found in a field, and the team suspects the actual missiles are heading to New York. Since airspace over New York is tightly monitored, Reacher guesses the weapons will be flown into a small, quiet airstrip in Pennsylvania or New Hampshire and then driven into the city to upload the Little Wing software. Time is running out, and the money exchange where AM and the assassins targeting Reacher's friends are expected is fast approaching. The team faces intense confrontations with hostile forces, exchanging gunfire and maneuvering to flank attackers who scatter when police sirens sound. Interrogations yield little but hint at a mysterious figure named Langston connected to Swan. Using a hitman as bait, Reacher's team sets up an operation outside a building in Queens. Dixon, O'Donnell, and Russo cover all exits while Reacher warns the hitman that any misstep will get him killed alongside the others. Suddenly, the bomb squad confirms a tripwire rigged by military-grade eliminators intended to wipe out the team. Only one attacker is found dead. Swan remains missing. Later, police find Marlowe's abandoned car, but she has disappeared. Reacher skips the search to meet someone important, joking he's like the tough detective in every crime movie. Before vanishing, Marlowe purchased food, a burner phone, and a drink while her daughter played on a Nintendo Switch, footage captured by the store. The team uses the gamertag Plain Jane 777 to track her location, preparing for their next move. Meanwhile, Reacher faces a routine traffic stop, highlighting how relentless the investigation is. Dixon arrives, shedding stress, and their playful moment brings brief relief amid the chaos. Russo confronts a former mentor who betrayed Reacher's team for money from Langston, justifying his actions by claiming the real threats lie abroad. The mentor refuses a bribe to keep quiet, standing by his principles and honoring those lost in 9/11. Dixon vows she will be the one to take down Swan when the time comes. Then, the team receives good news. O'Donnell tracks Marlowe, known as Jane, logging into the game. Marlowe and Jane are hiding with a man who offers her comfort, understanding the heavy burden of guilt she carries. As Reacher steps outside, he spots the sprinklers running, and that's when he grabs the man lurking nearby, warning him to stay quiet. O'Donnell is nearby, keeping Jane distracted with video games. Inside, Reacher confronts Marlowe, demanding answers. Why did she send his team into an ambush? Marlowe insists she didn't know it was a trap. She blames Langston, New Age's head of security, for instructing her to give that address. But Dixon points out she was smiling when she shared the location. Either she was tricked, or she was helping plan it. Then she vanished, using Chad to hide. Marlowe denies any involvement, claiming she only ever trusted Tony Swan. She hired him because Langston's team, mostly ex-cops and old friends, didn't seem trustworthy. According to Marlowe, Swan had noticed something wrong with the little wing chip tests. Working chips were being flagged as defective, and the company ignored it to stay on schedule. Swan believed someone had rigged the system, but there were too many engineers to pinpoint who. Senior management seemed unaware, or chose not to see. Langston once joked that everyone was too busy counting money to care. Reacher guesses that 650 chips were wrongly marked. Marlowe agrees. She told Swan to report the issue to Langston, not realizing Langston was part of the cover-up. Swan kept digging, eventually bringing in Reacher's team for help. But then he disappeared. Reacher's team later discovered Swan was still signing off on shipments. That meant he was likely alive, being used as a scapegoat. Marlowe says Langston paid her to stay silent after Swan vanished. She accepted, not out of greed, but fear. Langston, she says, has ties to criminal networks across cities like Boston and Atlantic City. He threatened her and her daughter, leaving her terrified. She ran, knowing that once Reacher got involved, Langston would see her as a loose end. Nee promises Marlowe that whatever Langston's done to Swan, they'll make him suffer worse. Marlowe explains that 2 women recently came by asking about Serpian, and they weren't alone. They brought backup. Now it's personal. Reacher reminds her, from the start, this mission was dangerous. They're luring Langston in, and Marlowe is the bait. They plan carefully. Marlowe is told to run when Reacher gives the signal. Meanwhile, Russo is in the car with Jane, trying to keep her calm. Suddenly, they're ambushed. Gunmen open fire. Russo shouts for Jane to stay down and calls for backup, unsure whether it's Marsh or Langston behind the attack. Langston, meanwhile, realizes it's a trap. He orders his men to grab Marlowe and kill Reacher. Chaos breaks out. Russo yells, "We've got to go." Jane panics. Marlowe hesitates. "When I say so, run," Reacher tells her, "and don't look back." In the aftermath, Reacher and Dixon decide to send Marlowe and Jane far away. They put them under the protection of a trusted friend, a man named Lee in Buffalo. He's brave, kind, and has a reputation for doing the right thing. Dixon provides disguises to keep them safe and unrecognizable. Meanwhile, the team confronts Marsh, a dirty cop who secretly worked with Langston. The meeting turns grim. Reacher tells him, "A good man died in my arms last night." Marsh, shaken, admits he never thought Langston would go that far. Reacher demands to know about the next meeting. Marsh doesn't know, but says Grant might. Grant, the man they ran over the night before, is recovering in a hospital. Reacher and Nee head there next. Reacher enters Grant's room calmly, but his threats are anything but. He warns that Langston's men will get to him before the police do. Reacher fakes a flatline, tampering with Grant's catheter and threatening to rupture his bladder to push him into talking. Terrified, Grant confesses. The deal is happening tomorrow at 5 a.m., though he doesn't know the exact location. Langston keeps things tight. Just then, Reacher and Nee spot a man approaching in fake scrubs, clearly not a real doctor. A hitman, perhaps. A gift from Gaetano Russo. The danger isn't over. Reacher quickly realizes the fake doctor is no nurse. Only nurses carry paper tape. The man must have grabbed whatever he could depose his staff, just like they did. Reacher had hoped to question him, but now the man is dead, his body left in the morgue for convenience. Langston contacts Reacher, smugly announcing that he has 2 of Reacher's people and proposes a trade. Reacher and his partner come to him, and this all ends. He threatens to kill them if Reacher tries anything clever. Reacher then reaches out to Senator Lavoie, who once helped cover up Operation Kite Runner. Though Lavoie has a history of self-interest, he now agrees to help, providing Reacher with a few trusted ex-military allies, 2 former Navy SEALs and a Ranger. Reacher doesn't accept his apology but makes it clear what kind of backup he needs. Langston's compound is well guarded, surrounded by lights and surveillance. Any wrong move from outside could get Dixon or O'Donnell killed, so Reacher plans to take it down from the inside. After observing a group of rebellious teens messing around near the facility, Reacher gets a clever idea to bypass the electric fence. Inside the facility, Langston brutally tortures O'Donnell with brass knuckles, taunting him about their fallen teammate. Before the infiltration, Nee expresses her doubts, haunted by the loss of their unit during Operation Kite Runner. She calls this mission a suicide run, but Reacher stays calm. "Everyone dies," he says, "but not everyone dies with purpose." Reacher enters Langston's lair unarmed, letting himself be captured. Langston, surprisingly, takes a moment to admire Reacher's physique before stepping away to take a call. He orders Reacher tied to a stretcher like the others, but even with his hands cuffed behind him, Reacher fights off Langston's men with deadly precision. As chaos erupts, Langston reveals his desperation. He admits he tried to cut Swan into the deal but didn't need all of him to frame him. Langston plans to sell the weapons for $65 million and orders his goons to wipe all data from the facility's servers and load Reacher's team into helicopters to be eliminated off-site. Just before they succeed, Nee and Lavoie's backup squad ambush the warehouse in a full-scale assault. Gunfire tears through the chaos. Langston flees, ordering his men to cut losses and meet the buyer. During the assault, Reacher and his team capture one of New Age's engineers and the pilot, both meant to demonstrate that even the defective chips can launch deadly missiles. Once the demonstration ends, Nee uses a little wing missile to blow their chopper out of the sky, ensuring no one else sees it. But things take another dark turn. Lavoie's backup team betrays Reacher. The trusted support he requested turns against the 110th. Fortunately, Reacher had anticipated the betrayal. He had already sent Homeland Security full proof of Lavoie's involvement in the illegal missile scheme and his plan to kill the 110th to clean up loose ends. Now, the takedown is official. SWAT teams arrive. Lavoie's corrupt operation is crushed. Later, the only thing left is the money. Where's the money? Reacher asks. Eventually, it's found, but Reacher doesn't keep a cent. Instead, in a touching final montage, he uses the millions to help those who matter. He donates to the families of his fallen teammates. He gives to the animal shelter where Swan once adopted a dog. He arranges full medical care for Nee's father, sets up O'Donnell's kids with college funds, and helps Dixon finally open her own security firm, because, as he says, she should never have to work for anyone else again. As for himself, Reacher keeps nothing, except a toothbrush, which Dixon buys for him as a gift. He spends the last of the funds on a single bus ticket that lets him travel the country, because that's all he really needs. As Dixon and O'Donnell part ways, Nee finds Reacher at the station. She tells him he doesn't always have to be alone. You need to get better at staying in touch, she says. He replies with a small nod. When she asks where he's going, Reacher simply says, "No idea. He may be alone again, but now, we know he's not without a family." The legacy of the 110th lives on. Everything they fought for truly mattered. Reacher walks away with nothing but a bus ticket and peace of mind. Justice is served, and his team is safe. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more awesome recaps. Thanks for watching.